All right, so I'm gonna switch from this camera to this camera. Oh, okay. I'm live here. Now I'm gonna go live on Instagram. This has been crazy. Okay. All right. We're working with cooking with gas now. Okay. So, right now I'm probably talking to myself, but that's okay because I'm going to be downloading this and putting it onto my YouTube channel that I am going to be putting all of these videos on. And also, if you're just joining me, this is the finish that we're going to be creating today. Let me see if I can get it a little bit closer. Pull you closer to here. And then bring this closer. Okay. Hi, everybody. If you joined me last month, we did our first finish challenge live where we did the black and steel finish. And this time we're going to be doing this beautiful finish called Glacier. And it's a finish that I did for Golden's limited edition series. And it's available on their website for download. And one second, let me get the print off. So when you go to Golden's website, they have different finishes that you can download by different artisans that practice decorative painting in the field. And for some reason, my computer is not printing the first image, but you can download this, you can print it, you can save it to your computer. On the first page, it shows all of the things that you need material-wise. It's probably backwards in your camera. And then on the second page, it has all of the steps and tutorial. So I started with these because I figured it'd be easier for folks to get a handle on working on this on their own, and also to help get this out into the world. This finish was originally created for Christy Lou Interiors, and she asked me to do a finish that was similar to a Philip Jeffries wallpaper. And if you are a decorative artist of any type, you probably have heard of Philip Jeffries. They do finishes that are a lot like, wallpapers that are a lot like decorative finishes. And so in this case, the finish was on a 22-foot wall, and the wallpaper could have been custom sized, but it would have been astronomically expensive. And this way we could do exactly what the clients wanted. So without having the astronomical cost and custom coloration, they got a unique and really cool, pretty finish. You can find pictures of that on my website and on my Instagram, which if you're on my Instagram, hi, you can go to my page, but not right now, and on my Facebook. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is Glacier for Golden Finishes. So what you're going to need is a mixture of I used soapstone, and then in the finish recipe, I used their Venetian plaster. I'm out of their Venetian plaster, so I substituted their fresco, and this is an older labeling. They've changed it since then. So I mixed the ratio 50 to 50. And then I went ahead and tinted the mixture with their slow dry fluid acrylics. I use these for painting. I use them for tinting, carbon black, their raw umber, and also their white. And then I also added their, it's actually golden, which is the same company, but a different subcategory. This is their golden fluid acrylics Payne's gray. So you can see that. I love this. This is like a really pretty blue-gray color. So I put all of that into the mixture and mixed it up. And with the power of TV, this is the color that I tinted it to. So on the download sheet, the color that I closest matched it to is Sherwin-Williams. What did I say? Oh, it's on the first page. Sherwin-Williams. Come on, I can't find it when I need it. Oh, Coastal Plain. I don't know what number that is, but Sherwin-Williams Coastal Plain. So the first step, and this is like a cooking show. I have all the boards prepped and ready to go, so we don't have to wait for paint to dry, which is kind of cool. What I do is I take just a chip brush. It's my favorite tool in the world, super cheap, and I use it to scoop out the paint. So let me get this board off and then put the other board on that we're going to be working on. So I did the first layer earlier, let it dry. Okay. So the base coat color I used was just like a white. It wasn't anything special because the material that's going on is super opaque. So the first layer I used the chip brush and just put it on and dragged the brush through it horizontally. This texture is created just with the chip brush, nothing else, nothing fancy. So this time what I'm going to do is do the vertical. So I get some of my brush, put that on rather thick because I can spread it out. And the beauty of this stuff is it doesn't dry super quickly, so I have some working time. If you're in a more arid climate, you might add a little bit of glazing medium so that it can extend the drying time if you're doing a large wall, but really you don't need it. You can get a really nice, smooth, even finish just with the material alone on its own. So I just work across my surface. If you're working on a tall wall, I work maybe sections this big and then step down, work a bit longer, step down, work across. So I'm going to cover my board 100%. And if you get little chunks and nubs in there, it's actually okay. It could add to the texture of the finish, kind of like a slubbed silk or a more nuanced grass cloth. I've been finding that with my interior designers that natural textures are very popular. I don't know, I'm in Baltimore, so I don't know what the rest of the country is like or even overseas. And speaking of overseas, in a week, I'll be in Norway. Anybody else out there going to Salon this year? Some of my decorative painting friends I know will be joining us. So I'll be there, and then we'll be going to Sweden, go to where my great-grandmother's from. All right, so I have the material covered, and then I like to use, this is like a wallpaper brush. This is a really old Ralph Lauren brush. They used to sell these in Home Depot. I don't know where to get them now, but I'm sure if you Google it, you could probably find it. If you wanted something that's a little bit more aggressive texture-wise, this is a real, wallpaper brush that you can still get at Home Depot. And then I forget what this one's called, but I got this from Chris Burke. I call it the AstroTurf tool because it reminds me of my grandma's grass that she had on her front porch, the fake green grass. But anyway, this is like a rough plastic texture. So if you wanted to, you could use this and drag it through, and it creates a lot more aggressive look to it. And as it starts to build up on your tool, you get these little nubs and slubs. So if you like that, that's fine. Or you can take your regular wallpaper or strié tool, and I'm just smoothing that back out. So I like a little bit finer texture. And so that's that. You let that dry. I'll take this one down. Set this over here. Magic of TV. Ready? Dun, dun, dun. I was smart this time. I put my little points over here. I guess I don't know what they call them in TV, but to make sure that my board is within the camera's view. Last month, my board was like way over here. Nobody could see it. So I'm learning. So this one's nice and dry, and this is the fun part. So going back to the original board here, what we've created is kind of like this misty, landscapey, waterscapey effect. If I come in really close, you can see the texture. I'll come over here to the Facebook side of things. Instagram over here, Facebook over here. So what I do is I take a palette. You could take, any, paper plate, whatever you have handy. I like using my tearaway paper palette. And I put a little bit of in a gradation pattern, reading from my notes, I apply mixtures of slow dry fluid acrylic colors mixed with sheer glazing medium, starting with titanium white and transitioning to phthalo blue and green into a darker Payne's gray and slow dry fluid acrylic raw umber, mixing onto the surface and wiping out with rags. So I'm just gonna do this freeform and blend until I'm satisfied with the look. You can add more, you can add less. And when I did the really tall wall, I did striations of color and gradually built them up into a deeper, dark kind of blue, gray, deep kind of bottom of the sea color at the very bottom. It's really pretty. So let me load up my palette. Let me go get my water too. So if you're just joining me, we did a live last month, and right now I have them scheduled for monthly, just because of scheduling and travel and whatnot. But I'm hoping that if this starts to catch on, maybe we do this weekly. And also if there's any challenges that you have that you want to see me try, we can work out and then we can share them together. I'd love that. I just created a Facebook group on my Lenahan Studios page where I'm going to be posting. So typically what I do is I post a reel on Instagram of a finish that's like inspired by a fabric or whatever, and then I'll share it to Facebook in hopes of kind of gaining traction, and then I'll pick one of them to share and do together live, so that you can either watch me or ahead of time if I post the materials. In this case, everything was on the Golden's Paintworks limited edition series page. So if you wanted to prep and do this ahead of time, you could with me. So, hi Sharon. See you on Instagram. Okay, so let me get another chip brush here. Again, my favorite tool, tip brushes. And the more worn out, the better. So what I do is I just take a little bit of glaze, just clear glaze on my palette, and I pick up a little bit of the titanium white, and you can see on my palette just little, spots there. So I'm gonna start at the very top, and I just kind of scrub this in. And I can add a little bit more directly if I want. And my plan is to work from light to dark as I go down the surface or the wall. I can add a little bit more in if I want, feather it out, add some over here. So it's kind of just a misty, watery landscape or seascape. Putting a little bit of Payne's gray and a little bit of raw umber together on my palette. Again, this is a really sheer wash with the sheer glazing medium from Golden. I keep hitting that one, I'm sorry. So need a little bit more glaze in that. A little bit more. And as you get going, you can start to just relax into it and start playing. I like to use just a rag to kind of wipe out some areas. And as you wipe out, you'll start to see the color collect into the crevices. And I'll hold this up. And after we're done here, I'll post pictures of this up close so you can see. Get a little bit more. Ooh, there we go. That's a pretty color. And it's just kind of a mist. Maybe play around, put some trees in there. I don't know. Happy trees. Who knows? It'd be kind of like a Pacific Northwest forest or something. Just have fun with it. It's just paint. So you can see as the color gets darker, that texture starts to pull out even further. So I'm going to add some more raw umber down here. If you're doing a larger surface, it might be more economical to mix small containers of these colors so that you don't have to keep remixing everything on your palette. Go back and darken this one in a little bit. A little bit of carbon black. Carbon black goes a long way, so be careful. Don't need that really deep. Can you see that down there? Yeah, okay. Oh, thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it. I didn't know if I was just talking into the void or not. Sharon is an amazing mural artist from Connecticut, so go check out her page. She's fantastic. So I can just keep going as long as I want. I can layer and layer and layer until I'm happy. Or if, you know, you can get the color down, get in, get out, get paid. I don't like to spend too much time futzing over something, you know, go over budget. The longer I spend, the less money I make. If you're doing this for dollar bills. Okay, so the last step, you can kind of see, if I held this back up with this one, some of the areas I've wiped out on this, and I just love how that gives a little bit of a misty look to it. Up there. Oh, I just wiped stuff all over it. Lovely. Don't want to ruin my finish. Okay, so I'll just take like a blue shop towel or a rag, a dry rag, and fold it into a soft, flat surface. And then I just, hi Annette, hi Emily. I just kind of drag it over the surface and pull out some areas so that you start to really see that deep texture. And that's where it really gets fun. I might go back up. Add a little bit of white back in up here. So I kind of like how the white pulls in too. And I didn't clean off my brush because I'm lazy, but we'll see how this turns out up here, if it does anything. Oh yeah. A little bit more white. This would be really pretty with like deep grays and bronzes, or sheer whites and blues, like icy landscape. Oops. So I'm dragging horizontally across. You could do vertically, but the idea is to create that horizontal landscape. So you can see the difference between this and this. I pulled off more on this one than I did on that one. I could go back and add more until I'm happy with it. Could even create just a little bit of a, almost like a watercolory wash. It kind of reminds me of a Japanese ink painting. Fold to a clean side. There you go. See what happens up here. Okay. Throw that in the water. And then my favorite part is taking the tape off. I'm not going to take the tape off of everything, but just want you to see the magic, if this will release. This might have been on here for a little too long. Got a good start. Here we go. There we go. Can you see that? Oh, of course it broke off. Anyway, let me stick this back up here. So earlier today, I challenged myself to try and create a finish based on a cravat velvet. Found this at the Maryland Design Center, and I really wanted to create the kind of the fragmentation or the crushed look of this velvet. Haven't gotten there yet, but this is my first attempt, which I thought was really pretty. A little bit of a metallic overglaze that you can see. And so that with this, I think is really pretty. Just this really steely, icy blue, kind of tie-dye effect. So, I don't know, maybe see that in maybe in a dining room. I don't know, what do you think? So this might be one that I do next month. So tell me what you think, leave a comment, suggestion, any questions. If not, that's it. That was easy. That's Glacier from Golden Paint Color, or Paintworks. I never forget or remember their names. I always changing them. So anyway, if that's it, bye. Have a wonderful Monday evening, and we'll see you next month. Bye.